thanks for joining me in this podcast with one of the beautiful people on the planet.
Thank you.
Today I have Raissa Gwiza, who's my very good friend. I met up with her this March 2022.
Oh.
And just after a good coincidence, I was actually posting a Facebook marketplace kind of thing. I was trying to sell my bed, and then Raissa hit me up and like, can I have the bed?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Yeah.
I know.
And unfortunately, I didn't end up getting that. So, but here we are.
Beautiful coincidences,
Yes, definitely.
So, with this podcast, it's always about learning the stories of my guest. And to every guest, I ask this question.
Yes, go ahead.
How did you end up in Vancouver? Like, what's your journey? What's your journey?
Oh, my journey.
Tell me you.
My journey in Vancouver is it's actually a story. It is quite a story. Where do I start? Okay, so I thought about moving in Vancouver. I used to live in Toronto. I thought about moving to Vancouver, weird enough, because of the time difference. You know, we're on Pacific time. Ontario is on Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and at that time I was obsessed with this one idea of a business, and I didn't think I had time for it. So I was like, if I move in another time zone, it's gonna give me 3 extra hours to actually work on my dream. Sounds weird. So I did, and it was more of an adventure. I didn't think I would stay. I was like, okay, I'm gonna come see how it's gonna be, and then nothing is chasing me out of Toronto. I can always go back. But I ended up loving it. Yeah. And I'm still here a year later.
When did you move?
I moved February 1st, 2021. So it's been a year and a few months.
Wow, right in the middle of pandemic. How did that go?
Yes. Okay, so that's why I stayed, actually, because in Toronto we had a lockdown for the longest time. I think it was more than any other province in Canada. So I remember it was the year of 2020, we didn't have malls open. Everything was closed.
Yeah, I heard it was the strictest in Canada.
It was very strict. So I came here thinking it's the same thing. The very first day I landed, my roommate took me to a mall. I got emotional. I was like, people still go to a mall? Malls are still open. Oh my God. So yeah, that was that's one thing I liked about Vancouver. It was pretty COVID. Yes, it was strict, but it wasn't that strict.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, we've had our definitions of strictness, ups and downs, but overall I feel like Vancouver has been pretty relaxed compared to other provinces. Part of the reason is it also had the lockdown early on.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I remember like there was a spring break. So most of the provinces started their lockdown after the spring break.
Yeah.
But BC, they just, I don't know, got the whiff at first, or they just implemented it right away before the spring break.
Yes.
So people wouldn't be able to get out or hang out, and the kids were not like intertwined. So
I felt bad for the kids most of the time. I'm like, adults can adjust, but like kids need to play.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you end up in Vancouver? I'm curious to know.
Oh yeah, that's I have to dig back my memory. Okay, let me trace it back to 8 years back. Yeah, I moved here when I was 20 with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
My dad lived in Italy, my sister lived in Italy, and I lived in Nepal with my mom. And we ended up coming to Vancouver for obviously like better opportunity, better life, and all that zazz. Since then, like we've been working hard and trying to, first make ends meet and then make dreams come true. And it's been 8 years, and I like Vancouver. Vancouver's home. There's no other place I want to move. But I have had my own fair share of challenges and successes.
So you came straight from Nepal?
Yeah.
That's I think it's so
very
different.
long flight.
Yeah.
Like 12 plus another 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so for me, if I'm following that, then the story will be how I moved to Canada. Because I've been around. I came from Rwanda. I'm Rwandese by nature. And
okay.
From Rwanda to Ottawa, Canada.
Okay.
And I stayed in Ottawa for like, 10, 11 months? Something close to a year, but not a full year. Got an opportunity in Toronto, moved to Toronto, stayed there for 5 years, and then moved here. So
how old were you when you came here?
23.
23, not that long.
Yeah, 23, 24.
And you there like family here?
Yeah, my mom was here. So my mom is the one that faced all the challenges of, moving. So we came after she's established, after she got all the paperwork.
Okay.
That's the hard part of immigration, I believe. So yeah, my mom was here, but we came with my siblings and my dad. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes completely different experience.
From your experience.
Yeah.
How about you? Did you start the process from scratch, or?
Yeah, sort of. I was, I think, 16 or 17 when I was told that I was moving to Canada. And in Nepal, what you do is it's like, it's a very backward country. It's 200 years back from here. So you have to do everything in papers. Mm-hmm. You have to ask and bow down to multiple people who are in power just to make sure that your papers are signed and you're good to go. Even for your passport, you have to, sign like from 2 officials.
Yes.
Just to get the authorization that I am okay and I don't have any other alternative motives, whatever.
Even as, and the whole medical check.
Oh my God, that was another experience. I tell you, I had to do it twice because it expired in like 6 months, and usually the process is 6 to 12 months for the whole start process to get an approval from Government of Canada, right? Mm-hmm. And what it ended up happening is in the first 6 months it was okay, but when it actually came to a review period where an immigration officer looked at our files, it's like, oh, your medical documents are expired, you have to do it again. And I was like, man, this is freaking annoying.
I think we did it twice too. I don't remember because the whole process took forever. Us, we've been waiting for 10 years. So from the first day we got to know that we can actually move to Canada to the day we came, it was a whole 10 years in between. So that involves 10 years without a mom.
Oh man.
Which was hard eventually.
Like, okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, how has that whole experience, that journey become for who you are today?
Weird enough, I'm starting to feel the effect of that now. So because we stayed with our dad, it wasn't bad, like he's good. But the way fathers raise their daughters are very different from how mothers raise their daughters. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in a very Christian conservative family. So but my dad is pretty relaxed. So you understand 10 years, so that's my puberty, adolescence age. That age where a girl is developing, guys are hitting on you, you're trying to understand things, that rebellious age. So with my dad, it wasn't bad because he's pretty relaxed. And then, so when we moved here, that's when I realized the absence of my mother. Because now my mother has a way of raising people because she's super strict, she wants things like this, and I was already used to a certain other way of living. So it was challenging. I think it was actually one of the reasons why I moved to Toronto, because I love my mom so much and I did not want to upset her, but I also wanted my freedom.
Yeah. So when you were being raised by your father, when you were a teenager, like, was he pretty relaxed about relationship and going out with friends?
No, not really, but like, he didn't know.
Okay.
It's easy. I think it's easy to deal with that than it is with moms. I don't know. I guess it's different from every family, but like my dad he doesn't ask a lot of questions. So it's like a do you kind of thing. Just don't tell me. And make sure I don't hear it from the outside world, that kind of thing, But with my mom would just look at you and know whatever you're trying to hide. As a teenager, you know how like you hide little things thinking little it's a big secrets. Thing. Yeah. So it was a good experience.
contrast to that, I was actually raised by a mom, but I ended up with being a dad. And that's super, interesting.
Opposite.
It's interesting here because our mom was super strict too. She was like nitpicking, where are you going?
What time are you coming
back home? Curfew by 7.
Yeah.
And like what type of friends you're hanging out with.
Yeah. Do I know them?
Yeah. And I need to know the parents' name too.
Yes. I thought that was a thing in Rwanda only. They're like, a visitor come to visit and they're like, who are your parents?
Exactly, yeah. Can I get the number of your parents? Or can I meet them?
Do I know them? Where are you from? What region? What city?
Yeah. Those mattered a lot. And because I was already raised and my friends were also... It was a very common thing in the community, I guess, in countries like ours. And I was just like, fine, my mom is there. Anything happens, she has my back and I have hers. Yeah. And we didn't know better. We were just raised like that. And when I came here, it was like exact opposite. It was like no caring at all. And we would tell, okay, Dad, we're going here. And it was just like hanging out with these friends. And like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. And so like,
that's
this void. You have this void of care, all of a sudden, and love, and you feel like, what is this wrong? Oh, this is wrong, but I don't know how this is wrong. I don't have an explanation for it.
Yeah. I think for us, the reason why I personally didn't feel like it was a void of affection, my mother, yes, it was kind of long distance, but I knew she cared. She would make sure she showed us, and also we're surrounded by other family members because they're all back home. So you have aunts, cousins, and our family, especially from our mom's side, are pretty close. So I lived most of the time with my cousins at my aunt's place, So I always had that mother figure, or like if I do a mistake, my aunt would feel like my mom because I know they're similar.
And they're looking after you.
And they look like, girl, So But I understand. Do you think it's all dads, or there's some actually fathers that are pretty strict as mothers? Do you think it's a masculine thing?
Well, I mean, the society in general is in control of men, so patriarchy and like at an hype. But I think there are fathers who care enough, and fathers who there is certainly care. But how much you care and how vocal you're about that,
present you are. Yeah,
that makes a huge difference in raising a child,
especially a girl.
A girl, yeah, and that has a huge effect in your later years of life, like you just mentioned. How is that coming?
We're actually talking about it. We had a conversation before the podcast.
I know, a pre-conversation. How is the parenthood affected and reflected in your later years now that you're being an adult and potentially you want to be a parent in the near future?
Yeah, I feel like when you're a teenager, or you don't really focus on that, you don't see any... I personally wasn't feeling the effect of not having my mother around, of being raised by my dad in my teenage years until now. So when you get older, and especially if you're looking for a partner, there are things that now you consider important, So for me right now, it's very important to have a present parent. If I ever have a child, it's like a number one on my priority list. You have to be present. And I think that's why I'm working so hard, because I feel like by the time I'm there, I need to be having... I don't want finances to be a burden, because I know most of the time finances are a reason why dads are not present, because they are working for their family, and most of the time we know mothers stay at home. So that's why I want to bring in something. I'm working so hard. I've been working so hard, and hopefully, God willingly, by the time that happens, I'll be at a place where I hope I'll be. And the man that's gonna come in will also be at a place, because it doesn't matter how much money we have. If my kids cannot feel your presence, there is a void in that family setting. I want the type of partner that's gonna attend the games for our child. I want the type of partner we're gonna have family time together. You know what I mean? And before I can find that,
physically, emotionally present.
Physically, emotionally, especially emotionally present, because these are things that affect the child in the future. Because I don't know about you guys, but like in my culture, it's a thing where you see women tolerating any sort of bullshit from a man for the sake of the child. You know, so it becomes like the child they're like cuffs.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter how miserable the woman is. Can you
elaborate on that? Like give an example maybe?
Let's say, okay, example. So let's say you're a woman, you're married to we've been talking about absent fathers. You're married to a man that's absent, and let's say they're even abusing you in a way, but you are conditioned to stay in that marriage because you have kids with that man. But what the reason I'm bringing this is because you don't realize that you are causing that child a certain childhood trauma, and you're changing the perspective of how they're gonna view relationships later, or how they're gonna form attachment styles in the future. So it's important for me to have a good partner. If not, I'm not just going that road.
Yeah, and why we are highway. But okay, and following on that, it all comes down to an individual, but again, in generic perspective, that's a lot to ask.
Is it?
Not me. I'm not saying that.
No, I wanna understand why. What's too much to ask?
To be there, to earn for the family, to give the physical, emotional, and social presence that you demand, and be there for the kids, and earn and go full-time work, and again hang out. So where is my life as a man?
As a man or as a woman?
As a man. The man would be like, I need to have control over my family, right? Because that's their perspective of how you make
what do you
family.
Call control of a family?
Decision making, like everything.
Decision making, but yeah, you are still the decision maker. So this is what I believe in. I don't know how we got to this subject, but I believe there should be, and this is probably an archaic mentality, I believe there should be roles assigned in a marriage, right?
There should be or shouldn't?
They should. Okay. For me, I think about it as a partnership, but because we live in the Western world, it's very different from back home. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like back home you have a lot of help, you have family members, some of us even had like housemaids, and so you have a lot of help, especially when you have kids. Yes. So here you don't have that, which means the roles falls with you and your partner, right? So so what I was saying, it's an archaic mentality. I think the roles of, let's say, the household chores should be assigned. If I am a woman and let's say I love cooking and cleaning, I will know this is within me and it's my role to do this. And then let's say my partner is good at plumbing, fixing, I don't know, fixtures, lights, whatever, then they will know that's their role. So that gives us a balance of roles, because I know it's easy to be like, okay, we're gonna help each other, but like if I don't have the accountability and responsibility of doing certain things, it's just gonna be chaos. Because as you said, we're busy. We're very, very busy. And for me, again, I like to see a man that's a decision maker or a problem solver. I'm not saying it's a must, because I can also help in that decision making, but one of us, again, it comes back to that balance of roles. Should be like, okay, this is what we're doing. And I'm talking in terms of signing papers, I don't know, assets, or I don't know, a mortgage, these big bills. That's what I think. I don't know if it's ideal, but that's what I think. That's what I think. A woman, you can always help, but I don't think I find joy in doing that kind of thing. If you put mortgage and all of that on my head, I'm gonna be stressed, because it's not a thing. I mean, I don't enjoy paperwork.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like whoever is good at this role should take it, and whoever enjoys another. There's like couples where a woman doesn't like to cook and a man is a chef and can do it in 20 minutes. So in that specific category, then those roles will be assigned that way. So it's about what you enjoy doing.
No, I'm not saying that's my personal opinion. Just
What's
to clarify.
your personal opinion? I want to know. We're talking.
Yeah, I feel like there certainly has to be a balance in a relationship. Of course, if there's a case that both like cooking or there could be a case where both don't like cooking, right? And what do you do at those times, because the relationship cracks in those differences. Yeah. So for me, it's when we are obviously a relationship works only when the roles assigned and the things that need to be done will get done. A person will help the other person, not just out of love, but also out of pure responsibility, taking that ownership of doing a job. The least thing is taking responsibility for the sake of both of them, not for
the sake of the couple.
I wouldn't go into a relationship and expect the other person to do everything, because that's a lot to ask. And I hope the other person would do the same for me, because personally I don't like cooking.
That's a personal opinion.
And he can't cook for me all the time, but I will also help him prepare the ingredients or do the dishes or do the aftermath.
So it comes back to an individual level, right? There are women that enjoy cooking, right? And if you enjoy it and you can do it quicker, then I'm not gonna tell a man to cook for me when I know he's gonna take a whole hour.
Exactly.
It's gonna be cute if you cook, because it's an act of love, but I don't want you to do it every time because you're taking so much time, and I know you're not. It's not your thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it comes back to an individual level when it gets to household chores, and I think that's different from how we were raised, because we were raised to be, you're a woman, you gotta know how to take care of a home.
You're a second-class citizen.
Yes. It's changing.
Okay, house chores, I get it. But I was just building up on that, but I also like to take control of money and finances. I also like to make sure that wherever our money or my money is going is worth our relationship and our future together. And that's where I think a lot of women fall back on men and just say, you take care of it, like for you, that's how it doesn't work for you, fine, it doesn't.
I know how to make money. That is a fact. I can't even deny it. I know how to make money. Managing money, not my forte. It's really not. And even when I do, I don't think I'm enjoying doing it, you know. I'm not an avid spender, but I also don't like to count. I really don't. Sometimes I would earn little commissions here and there. Don't ask me how much it is. I just know I have money in my account. That's enough for me. But I don't want it on a family level, because finances are a big thing that affects a family. There will be kids involved. There will be other expenses that's going to add up to what I have now. So I would prefer a man that's financially literate and that can manage that, you know. But we're going to work together to make that money.
Exactly. Yes. It all comes down to whether you have a choice to come forward or sit in the back seat.
Exactly.
So for me, at least there has to be a choice. But from the societies where we come from, we're not even given a choice.
You're right.
Just sit back and just obey whatever.
Be a wife, submit to your man.
Yeah, and that's how you will go into salvation.
That's how the marriage is gonna be successful. A lot has changed.
Yeah.
At least with our generation, and I'm not sure if it's confusing or if it's good, because sometimes now you're in the middle of what do I believe in and what do I know, you know, or depending on how you've seen things growing up.
I have started questioning a lot about that too.
See?
Lately, it's just, maybe it's the pandemic that kind of shifted a little bit of inner workings that need to be done, but...
Where do you think you stand? Where do you think you stand now?
I'm not super liberal. I wouldn't go out and say, hey, this is my right, and go protest, and that doesn't come out of my heart. But I also know I'm a feminist, and I know where I stand especially in terms of money, family, and your values.
Talk a little bit more about feminism.
Feminism is just give me a choice to make a decision in my life.
As a woman.
it doesn't, you may not agree to it, and sometimes I don't with you, but at the same time, like, let's have a point of discussion, right? And whatever makes more sense, we'll just go with that. And this is, I'm talking about in a relationship or in a family thing. And where were we?
No, we're just talking because feminism is one aspect that at least a lot of men that I know have been complaining about, and I'm not sure it's because of that lack of control, or it's because feminists are doing it wrong. You know,
there's a spectrum of feminism.
There's a spectrum, exactly.
It's
you're right.
Coming from
and everybody do it differently.
Yeah,
as you said.
We've got
extremists.
It's everywhere, religion, like whatever, right? It's there's extremists and there's like really left people who are just like, oh, I don't care.
Where do you stand? Are you an extremist on that, or are you on? I just need women to have rights.
Yeah. Yes, and women need to be treated equally and fairly, and be treated as a first-class citizen, where you have the total right to do what with your body, with your finances, and where you want to lead your life. But at the same time, we're all human beings. We need companionship, and especially in partnerships, if feminism is something that is a deal breaker, like if my man doesn't understand where I'm coming from, it's very important for me to at least have a point of discussion where figure out the details of where the differences are, and we have, okay, like, where do you stand and where do I stand, and is there a point of negotiation?
Yes. That's important.
If we agree, yeah, fine, let's move ahead. If not, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So that's where I stand on terms of feminism, and it's gonna affect, especially from the societies where I come from. There's a lot of frowning on from the community, from family members, from friends, that you sort of have to stick by the man for life.
For life. Yeah.
That's an expectation, and I'm not saying that's wrong. I am up for it. I am for it.
Hopefully you get that.
Hopefully.
We aim for that.
Yeah. Yeah, but when and if there comes a time where things are rocky and I have to find myself, I will stick to myself.
You're right. You're right. Because as you say, we grew up in a culture where it's like a marriage is like cuff. It doesn't matter how bad it is. Doesn't matter how it goes. You have to make sure it goes right. And it falls on the head of the woman most of the time. And most of the time, when a marriage goes wrong, they blame the woman.
And that's
she can't keep a home, and that's not always the truth. You know,
the blame and the fame, everything comes to a woman.
I know. But I think we're being more aware now, and a lot of our men are actually learning and trying to understand.
Yeah.
Others, they stick to their core beliefs. But I think I'm learning to understand everyone from their mentality, because our mindset is mostly shaped by our environment, how we have seen things growing up. So I'm getting to, as I learn, because I'm still learning, right? As I learn, I'm also trying to understand men, because it's hard to understand men sometimes.
Oh, they say the opposite.